And you're here for another edition of Beyond the Hype. This episode of Beyond the Hype is sponsored by Wells Fargo, and we have a great conversation with a great guest lined up for you. Listen, there wasn't a lot to laugh at over the last 18 months. We went through, obviously, a global pandemic. We went through a tipping point of the battle for racial justice and social equity with the murder of George Floyd and Breyonna Taylor and others. But we're here. We're on the threshold of a new day. We're emerging from the pandemic. And what I wanted to talk about is reclaiming our joy. And we know that we have a history of Black comedians really playing that role for us as Black people as we make it and try to progress through adversity, that we've always trusted Black comedians to give us the laughter and the joy to help us keep perspective, keep the faith, and keep pressing on. And it's in that spirit, I am so glad to have today on Beyond the Hype, my good friend, my brother in faith, my brother in style, Mr. Jonathan Slocumb.
Woo!
Yes,
hey, Alfred,
raise up.
Hey man, first of all, you didn't tell me who the sponsor was. So let me just say to Wells Fargo, I promise you I'm gonna get that negative off as soon as I get my next gig. I'm sorry, I've been with y'all for over 20 years. Life happened, you know, I had a few bills. So Wells Fargo, please be patient with a brother.
Well, as a Wells Fargo customer myself, who also had some difficulties this past year, I can tell you Wells Fargo is patient with a brother. So yes, to Wells Fargo. So listen,
man, I'm so honored to be here. And man, thanks for having me, man. You know, let me just start off by saying how much I have always loved, appreciated, admired you because, you know, Black enterprise, for whatever reason, they always come in my life at the right time. You know, this career thing is a little up and down, but for some reason, Black enterprise are just holler at your boy. I'm sorry, holler at your man. I want the brothers to stop saying boy, because we ain't no boy no more.
Man, you can have a whole conversation, bro, about that.
I know. I
only use Black boy joy when I'm talking about boys. That's
about boys,
say,
right?
We say Black men excel. Black boy joy, Black men excel. And you know, our conference, Black men excel.
Man,
you know,
that's another whole conversation. But anyway, I just want to say thank you, man, for having me, and I'm happy to hang out with you.
So listen, you're the third comedian entertainer that I've interviewed on this show in the past year. I'm making sure I didn't forget anybody. I interviewed Adele Givens while we were in the middle of the mess.
Wow!
Yeah, that was a very
the queen.
Yeah, that's she's such a good friend of mine. I love her.
Oh, the queen!
I call her my superhuman little sister. And and then I've interviewed Wayne Brady maybe 2 months ago as we were emerging, right? You know, so different periods. And then I was like, I want to talk to somebody who is a man of substance. Mm-hmm. Of course, very funny. You know, you're a veteran at what you do, but also who brings as a man of faith some perspective to now we're emerging from what was probably the most difficult chapter in the world for at least a generation of us. To talk about, okay, how do we heal? And again, that whole tradition, not just in Black America, but certainly in Black America, as laughter being a way of facing truth and embracing healing. So with that in mind, tell me how you're doing. How did you handle the pandemic? I know it impacted you professionally, it impacted you personally. How did you handle the past year?
Well, you know, Alfred, probably more than anything, since you're talking about being of faith, you know, people don't want to admit to it because of all the bad things that happened. But this whole thing was orchestrated by God. Like he did all this. And I think that things happened, you know, unfortunately for some lives. And I want to give condolences to all those who lost lives. But at the end of it all, God was in control. I mean, all the way to the point where look who he had as president while we're going through this. That is hilarious. God did that because he wants us to, we look at this guy and every day we just kind of just laugh like he's so stupid. And it validates me. It's like, okay, maybe I am brilliant after all, because compared to that joker, I'm Einstein, you know. So all I ever did during this whole time was be who I am. And I encourage people, you know, many times through humor, but more importantly, people just got to know that it ain't over. And, you know, all you have to do is really reach in and grab onto that faith that you have, and whoever you consider your higher power, just believe it's going to be okay. It's actually getting better. I was telling somebody the other day about how the pandemic the pandemic gave us a whole new vocabulary. Like, I don't call it COVID-19. It's Trump did 19.
Oh, wow.
That's who did it. It's Trump did 19. And even the word pandemic is used differently now. I use it instead of cuss words. Now I stump my toe. I go, pandemic. And even, 45 himself, he wants to be immortalized. Okay, let's do it. Let's do this. Instead of the F-bomb, let's use the word Trump instead.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, what the Trump? I don't give a Trump.
So I see the former president made a definite impression on you in the past year.
Absolutely, man.
But you make a good point. I mean, and again, we're men of faith. We love the Lord. Everybody knows that about me. That's not a secret.
Right.
But even if that's not your particular walk, your faith walk, the common thread or a common thread of all the people I've talked to, and on Beyond the Hype, we've interviewed everybody from senior level corporate executives to athletes to actors. We already talked about comedians. I mean, the goal is to talk to people from all walks of life who tell it what they do. And one of the common threads was like, things were taken away that created space for me to think about what was really important. That relationship problem that I wasn't really handling because I could always say I had to work. Now I had no choice but to deal with that. My spiritual walk. I could always say I didn't have time to pray and I didn't have time to read the Bible. Now I can't say I don't have time to do that. What's happening with my children? I can't say I don't have time to do that. It's almost like, and I'll put it in my own words, God said, I'm going to take everything else away so you remember who's actually running everything. And everything you think is your provision, the source of your provision, I'm going to take away all those sources of provision that you think is your source of provision. And you're going to realize that I'm the one that's been sustaining you. So
absolutely,
it was hard, but when do we learn when things are going well? We usually learn when things aren't going well.
I think it's, I joke about it a little bit. I think if this is my face for God during the pandemic, because God is like, as in, y'all know me now. Oh, okay. Right. So you want to holler at me now? I've been with you the whole. Okay, really? That's God's face, right? Because like I said before, man, it does allow you to look at things very differently. All the things you mentioned, plus, for us being at home all the time. I was already a homebody, but many people were, locked up in their houses. And I bet you for the first time in many years, the whole house is clean. You probably saw some dirt stains and you probably saw some stuff on the floor you never would have looked at.
Right, I did so much home improvement stuff around the house.
Man,
I'm a homebody too, because even before the pandemic, I only did like 2 days a week in the office. Most of the time I was at home. I was telling people I was about that Zoom life for years. This ain't new for me.
Exactly.
But for the first time, I'm like, wait, this is where I'm living? I've been tolerating this. I need to get on my game, man.
But we didn't notice that before because we've been on our grind. Everybody's on the go. Stop and settle down. You get a chance to enjoy television. I love TV anyway. I've been watching old TV shows. I didn't even realize how much as a kid I did believe in God, but who I believed in the most was Bewitched. I really believe if I did my nose like that, things would change. And I'm like, man, why can't we have that power right now? Imagine you can twinkle your nose, Alfred, and that Bentley would be in your garage right now.
It might be a very dangerous world.
A dangerous world. And then on top of that, I had a chance to really just appreciate all my upbringing and just reflecting. I'm a product of HBCU. I got my real, my validation for my gift just when I was at college, Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. And it was that's when I knew that I had this gift. And I've been just reflecting on, good things like that.
So, just for those who aren't fans, like I'm a fan of yours, talk about your journey to get to where you were, even before the pandemic, the things that you've done, and what led you to become Jonathan Slocumb. And then we'll get a little bit deeper in the interview about what your outlook is now that we're starting to emerge. We're all trying to see, okay, what's the new life going to be like? And some doors were closed in 2020, but certainly some new doors and windows are being opened. But talk about your career. Kind of give a summary for those who may not have been fans of your path to get to become Jonathan Slocumb today. And I'm glad you brought up Oakwood as a HBCU, which that's another thing that people are suddenly appreciating now. Oh wait, HBCUs
yes,
like, we've been doing this the whole time. Now
we've been up in here. Man. It's a beautiful long. I'm gonna shorten this whole story of mine, but so I'll start it with Oakwood. I guess that's when it kind of started. I just went on faith. I told my mom I wanted to go to Oakwood College. I was raised Seventh-day Adventist. I wanted to be there. So my pops didn't really believe it, but okay, I'll do it. We drove down there, got in front of the registration line. No, ma'am, we don't have any money. Man, we can't let the son in without money. She said, can you just find anything? So the lady said, what's his name? And she said, Jonathan Slocumb. She's like, you Jonathan? Go to the president's office right now. So I went to President Calvin Rock at the time. And as it turns out, I had a scholarship waiting for me, but he didn't get a chance to get around to it.
Wow.
So that's the first part. So I had a 2-year scholarship. I majored in broadcasting because that was an associate's degree. But I wanted to stay there the whole 4 years because I loved the college. So at the end of my 2 years, I was packed up and ready to go. I got invited to a worship service at one of the girls' dormitories. And at the end of it, they asked me to come down front. And they said, we hear that you're leaving our campus tomorrow. And, we can't function without you. So suddenly, 2 young ladies came down the center aisle with an outdoor garbage can filled with money. And the student body paid for my next 2 years to go to Oakwood so that I could still be there.
Right.
So that's when I knew
that story before.
It's a lot of stuff you don't know about, bro. So that's when I kind of knew.
Wow.
I will be doing something in this vein because I know that and in that garbage can there were students with testimonial little notes. This one lady I will never forget. She said that her mom said that she could transfer some money from her account to my account because this young girl had low self-esteem who worked in the cafeteria. And every morning I say, hey, good morning, beautiful. What's going on, cutie pie, whatever. And it always elevated and uplifted her day. So she couldn't allow me to be gone for her, her to not experience that. So that's when it all started. Then fast forward, I leave Oakwood College and then I get into corporate America. And then I was a choir director at my church. And we started having concerts and people were kind of, surprised that there's this gospel choir director having people laugh in the aisles of the church. And so the word kind of got out, started traveling the country, pretty much emceeing gospel concerts. And then I did this one big concert in Chicago State University where Take 6 was the headliners. And after the show, their manager at the time, Gail Hamilton, said, let's take him on the road with us. So then I quit my job at AT&T, started touring with Take 6. Take 6 has a broad audience of gospel and jazz. So it kind of went from there. So after that, the calls started coming. I got a big recording deal with Warner Brothers to do a comedy record. Then the second season of Def Comedy Jam had entered and they loved the first season. They were like, is there anybody clean? So I had just done some dates with Martin Lawrence and he said, I know one guy. So I did Def Comedy Jam and that's when everybody's careers went different places. So I became the clean guy, the gospel guy, the church guy, whatever. And started just doing comedy all over the world from London and other places, doing clean comedy. And then God told me to take the title gospel off of comedian, just be a comedian. And as Whitney Phipps said, you don't have to compromise to be recognized. Mm-hmm. And so that mixed with my big brother Sinbad, who prayed for him for his healing. He had a really bad stroke. So yes. I'm praying for that. He said, man, just be you. He said, I knew you were a Christian the first time I saw you on stage. So from that, the request and demand came because I was clean. I present myself in a certain way. I always like to dress up on stage and I don't degrade women and profanity I don't use on camera. But you know,
I
life.
feel you. People are like, you never curse. I was like, well, that's not
Well,
really true.
so you know, it's a whole lot of stuff. I've just been blessed, man. I did the Apollo and Radio City Music Hall. I toured with Aretha Franklin her last years. In fact, she called my house and asked me to go on the road with her, and I was like, well, yeah. Same thing with James Brown. A lot of things I've done. We're gonna do like a press to rewind on my life with this new publicist because I've done so many things. I didn't have publicity before, so you'll be hearing some stuff.
Man, I'm so looking forward to it. We've known each other probably about 15, maybe longer.
Probably more, yeah.
More maybe 20 years back for the golf and tennis challenge back in the day with Black Enterprise.
Well, but you know what? Let me tell you the funny story about that. So
Right.
how I first got on with y'all, I'm gonna try not to name anybody's names, but you guys had a comedian that was performing for one of your events, and the comedian had been told what not to say, but he decided to say what he wanted to say. And that's when Mr. Graves was alive. Mr. Graves went up on stage, from what I understand, and took the mic from the man's hand.
That's what
and
happened.
Said, "Get out."
Yeah,
and so
I'm not going to call the brother's name either.
Don't call his. You know,
we're going to show grace. But
show grace, and
Steve Harvey was there, Cedric Entertainment was there. There was other people there that was there that saw that. So,
yeah, and I love him as a comedian and as a person. You know, people have their choices of what they like in comedy, but that wasn't the place and the time for his brand of comedy. And so the next year, I got the call to do the same thing for the same audience, and I just remember so clearly when Mr. Graves came backstage himself. He looked at me. He's like, "Oh, thank you." And he hugged me. And that's when everything kind of just started with me and Black Enterprise, man. So, you know, rest in peace, Uncle Earl.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You make this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's an important point to make about the business of what you do, the professionalism of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
After that incident with the comedian that Mr. Graves pulled off the stage, I remember having a conversation with Cedric the Entertainer, and he was like, "You got to know your audience," because he said most comedians have a clean show,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the language he actually used. I'm a paraphrase, kind of a clean show, a semi-clean show that's okay for like HBO or
mm-hmm.
or cable, where they can let you do some things, but they can't let you do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can have your raw show, but your raw show is only going to be at certain venues for certain audiences, and that is part of your job. Or if you got somebody managing you, their job to say, this is the version of your act you want to use, because and it was the first time that I got a real appreciation after that conversation with Cedric of the level of business acumen and professionalism in terms of building a career that you can make a living from, because that was at the very beginning of corporations actually spending a lot of money to have comedians and performers at corporate events. And so that was a great lesson. But
Alfred, even in that, even in that, the comedian has to really be aware, because some comedians will take a job for the money. Corporate pays well, but it's a risk that they take, because that comedian can get on stage and forget. And all it would take is one forgetful thing, and it can destroy what the corporation hired you for. It could just mess that up. Case in point is, for I think 7 consecutive years, I was the main stage host at Essence Music Festival. Shout out to Susan Taylor. I love her forever for bringing me on. And that stage is not a comedy stage. It's not. They had, during the time I did, I think Chris Rock did a comedy set, and I think but that stage is run and owned by Coca-Cola, trust and believe. And they have certain standards too. So the other comedians who have had that position at Essence, they came on stage and they would try to do jokes. It's not the place for jokes. That's why my extra gift is I know people and I know audiences. So you have to cater what you do to that audience. Only certain comedians understand how to do that. Cedric happens to be one of those, who's
Mm.
one of my greatest inspirations, one of my best friends. So it takes a lot, and it means a lot when it's done properly.
Wow. Wow. This is exactly what Beyond the Hype is all about. Because people think they
Yeah.
know, oh, he's a comedian, but these insights is really important.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of great things. You're doing a lot of great things. Then the pandemic hits and it shuts down. I mean, anybody who's doing anything that's content or performance driven, how did that affect you emotionally initially? How did, obviously there's a financial impact,
Yeah.
but I know for me, and there was a lot of other things going on in my life, because it's not like the rest of your life stopped. If you had
Right.
other challenges,
Exactly.
those challenges were still there too.
Mhm.
And you have people around you that are ill. I'm blessed that I didn't lose anyone to the virus, but it was our founder, Mr. Graves, passed away in
Mhm.
April. So
Mhm.
it wasn't due to the virus, but it was still a big hit on us
Mhm.
emotionally.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
so with every life was happening, and then all of this on top of that. And
Mhm.
we have to remind people on our show Beyond the Hype, you guys are still human beings. Whether you're an
Mhm.
athlete, whether you're an entertainer, whether you're an executive,
Mhm.
you're a person. So tell me about
Mhm.
your experience as we came through just a time that we never thought we'd ever see.
Yeah. Well, I, like everyone else, at first it was 100% fear. Like,
Mm.
I was scared out of my socks. Like, what? And I was frantic. I was one of the people who would, I would peek outside and wondering if it was going to pass by and hit me in my face. I was just scared, and slowly but surely things got better. But I was fortunate in that many people's actual body chemistry or whatever had a lot to do with them being able to receive, this horrible virus. I've been thin my whole life, true. My metabolism is, medium. My system, for the most part, I've just been healthy, I guess. So I've been fortunate for that. But bigger than all that is like my heart would just bleed for the people that I saw that were suffering.
Mm.
Um, we talked about what happened with us career-wise. There were cancellations after cancellations. And my ex-wife and my son, okay, sorry, but where's mine?
Right.
Regular bills and life, so I was I was scared, but then I had to really hone in on the power of faith. Like, I honestly believe I'm gonna do something with faith at some point, but that's what sustained me. And I just I believed that it was going to get better. And then I began to look at one of the, I guess, fallacies of social media is that it can bring you down too. So you're looking at other people's lives and what's happening for them, then you begin to question, how valid am I, or how relevant am I, or am I done? Because I don't have the same kind of how I put it. I never had the hustle thing in me. It was never a part of my life, and everybody ain't got that same kind of thing. And these comedians and people who were doing content were killing the game, and I'm sitting around like, oh, well, what? It just didn't hit me.
Right.
And so God just put me at ease and said, look, son, that's what they do. I got you.
Mm.
And I happen to know, because of my faith, I'm about to be in that list of people who achieved high levels of success after 60. I'm 62 years old. But Alfred, bruh, something about to go down. It's going to be so huge. It's going to change a lot.
Bro, we're living the same life. I'm only a year younger than you are. And I'm telling
Yeah.
people, God is like he's like, I sat you down.
Yep.
Think about some things, get yourself in order, get your life in order. Took some things out of your life that you didn't want me to take, but I never take something from you without replacing it with something better.
Bam. That
Get
part.
ready, because when it's go time, you got to be ready to go. And Jonathan, I'm telling you, as I said, I'm doing so well, it's embarrassing. I don't even want to tell people, because and it's not even about what's happening now. It's about the anticipation about what's to come, even if I don't know what that is. But
Exactly right.
it's about being
Yeah.
ready and being prepared. And I spent this, most of the end of the last 6 months of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, after, like you said, the initial was panic, fear, what's going to
Hmm.
happen to me. I did have COVID in early, the first week of March, actually, the first
Oh, did you?
around my birthday time. But it was because, again, I'm so healthy. I almost wouldn't have noticed it if I didn't know there was a pandemic. I would have assumed it was kind of the flu or the cold. And then,
Hmm.
I had to count that as a blessing. Like you said, you saw things going on around you, and I'm like, I don't have nothing to
Woo.
complain about.
Hmm.
But the rest of it, as I got through July, around this time last year, around Juneteenth, I would say from around
Hmm.
that period, then it became about preparation. It
Right.
became, okay, I can only do but so much. Do what you can do,
Hmm.
and this extra time that you have to think, to pray, to look at
Hmm.
your house and clean your house, to look at your finances, to talk to your kids, because I got 4 adult children running and gunning. I was like, you
Hmm.
know what? Maybe I need to take time to sit down and call them and talk to them for more than 2 or 3
Right.
minutes, and
Right.
to reestablish relationships, and all of that is bearing fruit as we come out of this.
Exactly right. And I also know that I've been watching you. You've been going to the gym. You got a couple of muscles. You entered a contest or two. You making it bad for us brothers over the 60. I'm like, that gummit, that Alfred, just make it a secret. Because now people are gonna be like, well, you know what Alfred did. And I don't know what happened, brother. I am probably three months pregnant. Like this little thing in the front, it just happened.
You see, you be
What?
wearing them super tight fly tailored suits. You look so great that you're like, people can't tell because you're a slender, good
Bruh,
dude.
I
But you
but
get those suits on.
I got this pouch, but I also found out I have a hiatal hernia, so there's a little bulge there
Oh,
anyway.
mm.
So that's my excuse for the. Oh no, man! See, I got a hiatal hernia. That's the reason why I'm like that, bruh. No, I ain't.
So listen, man. As we now we're here and now, and well, let me ask you this before I start
Mhm,
going looking to the future.
mhm.
How were you impacted by the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and name after and everything
Mhm.
that also was global in terms of people finally saying, at least seeming like they're
Yeah.
saying, enough is enough all around the world. We got to
Mhm.
address the systemic racism. We got to address the police violence against Black and brown people, unarmed people. We got to do something about this. And again, we're still yet to be seen what's ultimately going to come out of it. But
Mhm.
how were you impacted, and what did you think about that experience in the past year?
Well, another good question. I was impacted because I started late in life, so I have a 17-year-old son, and
Mm.
when you and I were coming up, we like to look fresh. Our fro was intact. Our jeans were creased. That was us. Today's young kid, they look disheveled. They look a mess, but yet it's the style. And if you don't know that, they look scary.
Mm.
My son's hair is not, he has a fro, but it's, what we would call messed up.
Right.
He wears baggy clothes. If you don't know our culture, you won't understand our culture. So that whole thing not scared me, but made me concerned because these police officers, it appeared like they were on something. It's like, ooh, let's hurry up, and it was almost like it was a game of some sort.
Mm.
And when I saw that ex-person with their knee on George Floyd's neck, of course it affected me, but my thought is, how many other people did that happen to that nobody knows about?
Right. Right.
Like it's probably a lot of cases of people. And then I began to wonder, okay, so the fear is everybody's going to think that every white police officer is like that. And unfortunately, as we all know, we tend to glamorize uh, a minimal amount of things. So the George Floyd situation, more than likely, it's more people that's doing good than bad. I hate to even say that because people think, but it's the truth. I
Right.
know some police officers, but again, this is the time of sensationalism. They take everything and they run with it. I hate that any of this is happening, but I wish that people would come forth who are doing good so people can see more good. Same thing, with white people. If you are, on our side and want to see us better and want to support us, then be vocal about it, be verbal about it, as opposed to, here's my situation, Alfred. I wonder how many of those people who were marching with us and all that, are they really for us at that time? Or, hey, here's the way to get out the house. So let's go out there and let it look like, I'm supporting these people. Like, where are they right now? Like, are they still in support of us?
Yeah, it's
So
the thing about when the cameras are rolling and you were bored,
yeah,
and there's something going on, you get some excitement. But now when things die down, have you really changed
yeah,
your attitude, your habits, your beliefs?
yeah.
And I've heard it said by a few people, we don't need allies, we need what's the word they say? Accessories.
I'm with that.
Who are not just like, I feel for you, but no, I am with you. I am taking action,
Yeah.
and making changes. And so, we'll see how, again, that's going to unfold, I think, over the next 2 to 4 years. We'll see who was real and who was fronting.
Exactly right. And the thing, I put this out on social media. I'm like, okay, so the same thing had happened and the world was open. Like, how many people, white people, would take off work for a day and march in the streets? I think not. They will look at another black thing, And then the other thing is, as far as those accessories or people with us, I want, and if there are any white people watching, please listen to this. You can be down with us, but you ain't got to be like us, because they are doing too much in trying to be down with us. Stand down, stop it. Like, I take so much pride in knowing white people who are white people. They just white. They ain't got this kind of swag, this flavor, the language. They're not trying to be a part of the culture. They are who they are. And I appreciate that, and they appreciate who I am.
I feel you, Jonathan, because I grew up in a town, my hometown, which I still adore. I only live about 45 minutes away from it now. My brother and sister still live down that way. Probably 60% of my family still live in that area. And it's a very diverse town. Like, it's a big black community, but there was only one high school in my town. So even if you came from neighborhoods that were not well integrated, when we all got to junior high school and high school, we all went to the same schools. My best friends, my best white friends, I shouldn't say my best friends, my best white friends are just themselves. They're not trying to show me that they know all the new rap lyrics. They're not, they're just being themselves, and I'm being me, and I'm not being their black friend, and they're not being my white friend. And as a result, most of my white friends are people from my hometown. I've made very few white friends, some, but very few in the years since I've gone to college and then going out to the world, because there's not the same authenticity of friendship.
Right. Exactly.
They're trying to be my white friend, and I'm their black friend. Whereas my dude from Long Branch, New Jersey, where I'm from, my best friend in kindergarten, and we share no politics. We don't agree anything politically. But my best friend from kindergarten through 5th grade, and then in middle school, he's more like my brother's best friend because they play soccer together, was a friend of mine named Frank Sacco, who loves me to this day, and I love him to this day. But I can see him on
Facebook. Wait. You still got a friend from kindergarten?
Oh yeah. I still got a friend from kindergarten, Frank Sacco.
Wow.
I got lots of friends like that. Like that. Because that's, I won't go down the tangent of Long Branch, but anybody who's from Long Branch, whether you're black, white, no matter what your politics, being from Long Branch is actually more important than all the other stuff. And it's something that bonds us together. It's one of the things I love about my hometown. But to your point, now, we're going to find out who's really down and who's not really down. And I'd rather you be authentically yourself than to
please. Yeah. You can be yourself and still support us. Just be you. Right. Please.
Right. Because we just want to be us and be supported.
That's it.
When we go to America, can we be ourselves and still excel in this job? Can we be ourselves and still get a promotion? Can we be ourselves and still get the gig? Can we be ourselves and get a contract? We want for you what we want for ourselves. Let us be ourselves, but not be punished for being ourselves.
Right. Let's not be punished, and let's not be stereotyped either.
Exactly.
Brother,
Exactly.
I only fly Delta. That's my airline. And I was going through the airport one time, and I'm old school. I kind of dress up when I fly, not all the way, but
Me too.
I look all right.
It matters.
It matters.
It matters.
So man, Alfred, man, I was walking the baggage claim, and this white guy, he rushed towards me. He was like, "What's up, pimpin'? Woo!" I said, "Let me talk to you for a minute, my man." And then he said, "What's up, player?" Okay, so I had to check him. I said, "My man, first of all, pimping is not a compliment." I said, "If you understood what a pimp was, you would understand. It's not a compliment to tell me that I'm pimping, because pimps, they take advantage of women and exploit them for money. I'm not that person. Same thing with the player. A player is a guy who taps on multiple women at one time because they want to be perceived a certain way. It's not a compliment. Don't ever call a black man pimp or player ever again. You understand me?" The man was almost in tears. He said, "Well, I just thought that, no. I don't want you to think anything. If you like the way I look, say it."
Right.
In fact, let me hear you say it. He said, "Well, you look very nice." Thank you. So sometimes we just got to stop and educate the people.
True. Well, listen, now I can get to where I was going before I was talking to you. So tangents are going to happen. But
right.
Now we're here. Both as a man, as a black man, but also as a comedian, as someone who recognizes the power of laughter and humor as not just entertainment, but really medicine, particularly for our community. What is your outlook, and what would you tell our audience about bringing the joy back into our lives, not losing the joy, not surrendering the joy, not allowing? I mean, if some of us didn't allow ourselves to lose the joy even in the past year, and that was the other thing I kept reminding myself: don't let it steal your joy. Be honest about how you feel, but don't let it steal your joy. But let's say we want to reclaim our joy. Things are getting better, at least right now. So what would you say to people? You're always encouraging and uplifting, and that's why I love you as a brother.
Okay, well, first and foremost, it's clinically and medically proven that when you laugh, your body takes in more oxygen than when you actually take a deep breath. So number one, it's good for you. Like, laughter is good for you. And what a phrase I kind of have is, rather than laugh at, find something to laugh about. Because ridicule and putting people on blast, because that's the big thing now. Man, if you can see the number of people who have content that's actually criticizing or ridiculing somebody, and people laugh at that, I ain't down with that. But find things to laugh that you can laugh about, whether it be, especially in your own life. That's when it's funniest, when you laugh at yourself about your situation. And then thirdly, when you laugh, it's actually contagious. It's infectious. When you laugh, somebody else is going to laugh. So I make myself a committee of one. Every day, I provide at least one person an opportunity to laugh. I'll say something, whether I'm at the store, at the dry cleaners, Starbucks, whatever. Somebody in front of me gonna laugh once a day, even if I pick up the phone or post something. Make it intentional that you want to actually add to somebody's lives by providing them a reason to laugh, not laugh at, but a reason to laugh. And when you do that, you'll find your own joy. Like, I feel good. Do I miss crowds of people and audiences? Yes, I miss that. But right now, one or two, I'm good.
One of the things that I experienced, again, during the past year, of quiet and lack of busyness because things were taken away and things weren't happening. And I don't know, it's based on your story. Now that I know the story of the beginning at Oakwood, I think you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. I always tell people, I remember when I was called to my profession, right? It was 1981. It was, I got dragged kicking and screaming to become the editor of my college paper. My degree is not, I don't know if you know that. I'm actually a trained visual artist. My degree's in art. I never took a course in my life.
Wow.
But I was always good at writing. I was always good, from preschool. And I got dragged kicking and screaming to become the editor of a paper that was then called the Black Boys Caught-the-Believer. It was the Black and Latino paper at Rutgers University. And but at the end of that year doing it, I was like, this is what I'm simply called to do. So I received my calling. But I always tell people I didn't accept my calling until 1986.
Wow.
And I was then the senior editor, the number 2 editor. You'll probably remember this magazine, Modern Black Men. Remember the fashion Black Men?
Absolutely. Oh, I wanted to be in that magazine so bad.
Oh, yeah. I was the number 2 editor then. I had imposter syndrome big time. And I remember I was on my knees at the Bell Lodge Hotel in the suite in Los Angeles. We were doing a special LA issue. I did a cover story on, I interviewed Tom Bradley, the late Mayor Tom Bradley. And I'm 25 years old. And I'm like, God, I don't have a degree. I'm the number 2 editor. This is a national magazine. I'm about to interview the mayor. And I just was like, I'm just going to fail. And I got on my knees at the Bell Lodge Hotel. This is 1985.
Wow.
And promised God that if he got me out of LA without embarrassing myself, without me getting fired, I would dedicate my professional life as a journalist to bring him glory, And the rest is history. Not that I've never had a good time, but I couldn't have been in a better place. Still, my 33rd, 34th year of Black enterprise, loving it perfectly to me.
Wow.
And so I bring all that to say that the other thing that happened to me during the course of this past year it's not that I forgot my calling, but like you get so busy that you start forgetting why you do what you do. You're just
Good point. Yeah.
You're just running. You're just running, and pulling a lot of stuff away from me in the past year in terms of what was taking my attention also helped me to recenter. What am I about? What am I trying to do? We're both around the same age. What do I want to happen between now? Even if we live to be 100, we got more years behind us than we got in front of us.
Very true.
It was like, God was like, okay, bro.
I did that.
What are you trying to do? What do you want to do? And it left me coming out of 2020 with such a sense of purpose and intention. And not just spiritually, but relationships, professionally, financially. What do I want to do while I'm still blessed to be here? And I think that sense of purpose, that was what happened to me. So getting the calling, accepting the calling, and then at different points of your life, you have to rediscover your purpose. So was there anything like that for you during the past year?
Very much so. But I think what kind of like kicked into overdrive is my desire to want to make sure that Black people win. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of every time we have something, they feel like they need to, what they call it, we want to make it more mainstream and we want to make it more diverse. I love Black people so much. I don't hate the other people. I just love us. So that's kind of like my mission. This project that I'm doing is 100% focused on the rising of Black people. Even as when my financial situation changes and I have more of an income, everything on my back will be designed by Black people. I'm only doing Black. Gucci and Tom Ford and Prada, they got theirs. But when I see, especially our young people, they can't wait to post that they're wearing something by Gucci and Prada and the Louboutins and all that. I'm like, there's a brother in New York, a guy named Ron Donovan. This is a brother, he not only does, you know Ron Donovan, right?
No, I need to.
Ron Donovan, not only does he's been in Black Enterprise, not only does he design shoes, he actually makes the shoes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I was thinking shoes. Oh yeah, I know you're talking about, but I haven't spent any money with him. Now you got me convicted, bro. I need to get me some Ron Donovan shoes. I'm a big fan of, Michael Lamont neckwear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But your point is taken. There are plenty of great people in fashion, certainly in men's fashion, that we can spend our money with, be fly as I don't know what. You're right.
But you got to,
Tom Ford got enough of my money.
Yeah, man. But you got to be intentional. Yeah. I saw, what's my new favorite? Lena Waithe. Lena Waithe was on Ellen the other day. And Ellen was like, you look really nice. And she was like, well, I'm just kicking back. She said, It's all intentional. I guess black man made this, black one. She went down her head to toe what she had on Ellen. That's what I'm talking about. I hate it when we do our award shows. We have the Image Awards. Who you wear? Well, this is by Gucci, you know what I'm saying? This is Prada. This is the Image Awards. This is our awards. That's the time you got the money. You know, find somebody to make your dress or your tuxedo or your shoes and your bags. I mean, come on.
Yep.
So that's been my whole thing. Everything I'm working on right now is going to make my life better. But see, having a better life is relative. Honestly, Alfred, and don't take me, I hope nobody take this wrong. I don't aspire to be a billionaire. I don't need that much money. Yeah. I just want to be, content in what I have. I want to be able to help some people, and I want to live nice. That's it. It don't take $1 billion. These young kids are obsessed with billionaire status, and they don't know what to do with it. They haven't been trained on what to do with it. You want to be better. You want to increase what you have at the level that you can understand and appreciate it. But just to have it, I'm done with that. I got a few years left.
The whole millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire thing again. And I don't have a fault with someone saying I want to be really wealthy. Fine.
Yeah.
But I'm at the stage in my life, and I got to the stage probably around age. Well, I can tell you exactly when I really got an appreciation for it. It started happening in my late 40s, but I don't know if you know, I lived with a prostate cancer diagnosis from age 49 to 50. Never got sick. Never was, because they caught it so early. It's almost like it never happened. But I had a year to think about what did wealth mean to me. Right. And what I came out with was like, wealth is the freedom to do what I want to do with my time. To get paid enough to live the life I want to do. Not do more than maybe 10% of it be stuff I have to do.
Right.
Get paid most of my income to do what I really love doing. And of course, I had a head start because I love working for Black Enterprise. That guy's like, I give you a head start. But so my definition of wealth is I do what I want to do when I want to do it. And if I don't really want to do it, I don't want to feel like I got to do it because I need the money. Your time. That's what we recognize. And I tell my kids, don't wait until you're 50 to figure this out. Your time is the most valuable thing you got. Don't sell it all. Don't sell it all away trying to chase this thing down there.
You're right. That's very true. Right on point.
So I'd always like to end Beyond the Hype conversations with a look to the future. What is it that you see or would like to see? And I'll let you frame it any way you want, time frame wise, 2 years, 5 years, indefinite, that brings hope to you for everything we've been through and then in the future to come for yourself and let's say for Black people in general. What is it that you'd see or would like to see as we move forward further down the road without really knowing what's going to happen because only God knows? But
yeah, well, I guess a couple of things. One is I would love to see people appreciate and grasp on the blessing and the beauty of aging. Like I heard somebody say, "Oh my God, I'm almost 40." What?
Right.
I want people to appreciate the process of aging. That journey going from 40 to 50, 50 to 60, it's so beautiful. It's like your heart and your whole space, your whole life, your whole mind, everything changes to the point where you just appreciate being here and you want to share that with other people. I would like for Black men to finally appreciate Black women in a way that is, you don't objectify them because they got a big booty or a big body. It's not about that. Choose a Black woman. I ain't sorry to say that no more. If your mama is Black, your woman should be Black. That's the greatest honor to give to a Black woman. A Black mother is for her son to choose somebody like her. That's just my thing. That's what I want to see. And also, I would love to see people accept people's choices for what they want to be a part of. I don't condone bashing in any way. People always ask me about my favorite comedians. They want me to downplay or say something negative about the comedians who use a different language than mine and who have a different audience. I do not, because they have an audience. People choose them. I want people who, if you don't choose them, then choose something else. Please leave these other comedians alone. I don't care. I like to laugh. I'm the person, I don't mind cussing. If you're brilliant, if you say something that's clever, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, what's the little man's name? Cat Williams. These are brilliant. Cedric the Entertainer, brilliant. Choose who you want. And last and most importantly, I would love for us to embrace the word and, A-N-D, because people, you mess up people's lives when it has to be this or that. You look at a brick wall, it's not this brick or that brick, it's that brick and that brick. And then you build this big old wall. Mission accomplished. We got to increase and enhance our people to the point where it's not even a second thought to just, oh, I want to support him because he's Black and because he does great work. And the same thing with her and them. It's just, we got to get better with that, because we are bringing our own people down when we're trying to do. I don't mind the whole versus thing. It really shouldn't be versus. It should be some kind of a tribute piece. That's really what it is. But in people's mind, they think, oh, is it Patty or is it Gladys? It's both of them.
I think that was demonstrated because if I remember correctly, the Jill Scott and Erykah Badu versus was them uplifting each other the whole time.
That's what I want to see. Yeah.
People left there like, oh my God, they were just, it was a versus by brand, but it wasn't a versus by how they executed the show. They were like, no, that's my sister, you know. They split the whole thing paying tribute to one another. The other thing that resonates, and you probably would believe this because you are a comedian, you talk about the and. The big thing that came out of my conversations with Wayne Brady, both for this show and then he was I interviewed for our last year's Entrepreneur Summit last year, was he said the foundation of improv is the words yes and.
Wow.
Yes and then what he said was, I knew that in improv, but his big lesson coming out of 2020 was that he applied it in improv, but he didn't apply it to his life.
Wow.
And the 2020 experience said, no, yes and in your relationships, yes and in business, because as soon as it's yes or no, you cut off all possibilities.
Exactly
yes
right.
And keeps the possibilities open. And we've had 2 long conversations around yes and. So you saying that word, and that we got to appreciate the and even us there on social media, I stopped like using social media to be like arguing with people. I mean, I was never that dude that did that much arguing, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to be who I am and say what I got to say. I'm not going to ruin my mood because I'm, going back and forth with somebody, because that becomes the versus.
Right.
And no, it's and. You think that way, and I think this way. And guess room. There's enough room in this universe.
What? It's so much room. It's so much room.
Exactly. So
like, I don't even understand how there could ever be a beef about anything. Beefing shouldn't even exist. If whatever you do, there are millions of people who can be on your side and be on the other person's side. It ain't gotta be no beef. Let it go.
Exactly. Listen, before I let you go, again, we were coming out of this, and I want people to be able to stay on top of what you're doing as we emerge. What's the best way for people to stay on top of what Jonathan Slocumb is doing? Where should they go? What they should be following on social? Whatever.
I hate that I don't want to say hate, but I'm addicted to Instagram. I love Instagram.
Oh, me too. Don't hate that.
You can find me. I am Jonathan Slocumb on Instagram. I am JONATHANSLOCUMB. Everything I do, I put it on Instagram, and it goes over to Twitter. And I have a Facebook account, which is comedian Jonathan Slocumb. So those are ways you can find me. And if you want to find me on Cash App, it's $JSLOKE.
Go with. That's what I'm saying. Don't front, bro. somebody might hit you up. Shoot, man. I knew I was going to enjoy this, bro. Let me say this. I've been saying this every show lately. this is good, but seeing you face to face, hugging your neck, brother.
I can't wait for that,
I
man.
can't wait for that. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna make that happen real soon.
Yeah, so I always look forward to your hugs. I got to give you a step stool, when you hug, but
See? See?
Let me tell you, man, I was so shocked the first time I saw you because you sound and you appear to be like this massive structure. And when I first met you, and my head actually kind of went down a little bit, you're Alfred?
People have been having that reaction my whole life. Let me tell you this little story. So my brother's voice is actually slightly deeper than mine. Like I'm a baritone, he's a baritone bass.
Baritone bass, wow.
But our voices dropped when we were like 11.
Wow.
So my mother's boyfriend at the time, the phone would ring, we would answer the phone, and my mother would catch holy heck because dude would think she had another dude in the house.
That ain't your son. You lying. Who is that? Who is that? That's my son.
Mr. Graves used to say that because it's not just my voice, it's how I carry myself. I don't think of myself.
Of course. Yes, sir.
I think of you as tall. I don't think of myself as short.
I know that's to be true. I know that.
Mr. Graves used to always say, he may be only 5'7", but he thinks he's 6'3". And I'm like, that's
6'5".
That's just the way I roll.
6'5". You were that cat when, if you were playing basketball, big man coming down court, you standing here. You ain't gonna move out the way. You gonna stand and take that charge.
I'm taking the charge. I'm that dude. And the other thing, and I'll let you go because we can go on forever. We in our senior managers meetings at Black Enterprise, they was like, he's not a tall man, but he's a man of great stature. So I told you, yes, I'm a man of great stature.
Perfect. That's perfect for you. That should be your tagline. I'm Alfred Edmonds, a man of great stature.
Woo! Yeah, bro. Listen, Jonathan, man, thank you so much for being a guest on Beyond.
Oh, man.
You know I love you.
Thank you.
You know I love you.
Man, I love you too, man, so much. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, we'll see each other soon.
Okay, man.
Well, that's it for another great edition of Beyond the Hype. This episode of Beyond the Hype was brought to you by Wells Fargo. Thanks for joining us. Remember, Black Enterprise, the #1 Black media brand with more than 8 million unique visitors a month. Thank you for joining us. Be back for another episode. We'll see you soon.